Am I the asshole for not waking my husband up? My husband works from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, and I've always woken him up. That is after I make his breakfast and pack his lunch. But today I didn't because I was told to come into work at 6:30. My husband doesn't like to wake up till 7, and I told him yesterday I wouldn't be able to wake him up since I'd be leaving an hour before he gets up. I woke up at 4 and did what I had to do and woke him up at 5:30, but he didn't get up. I tried again at 5:45, but he said not until 7. I said I won't be here, but that I ironed and laid out his uniform, packed his lunch, and put it in the fridge, and that his oatmeal was ready. He said okay. I didn't wake up till almost 8 and ended up being 40 minutes late, and he was really upset about it.
I woke up with a terrible headache. I opened my eyes to see that I was lying down. I raised my hand to cover my eyes from the strong light that was coming from the window, and I noticed a long, thin tube attached to my hand. Wait, am I in the hospital? I looked around. I was lying in bed wearing a hospital gown, but no one was in the room. I checked my body. There was no sign of injuries or broken limbs. I was not feeling any pain. How did I end up here? I turned around and noticed the red button next to my bed. It had a little sign next to it that said, "Press in case of an emergency," and so I did. A nurse came rushing in. When she saw me, she freaked out and started calling the doctors. "Oh my God, Mr. Jeff, you finally woke up! That's a miracle!" Then 2 doctors came in and checked me. They started asking me stupid questions like how my name is spelled or what the sum of 1 plus 1 is. And then they started asking personal questions about different things in my life, and I answered them suspiciously. "You seem perfectly fine. We're just going to run a few tests and see the results. Then you should be able to go home." Wow, your family is going to be happy to see you awake. I was confused. Everything was happening all at once. The doctor noticed I was struggling to understand, so he explained that I had an accident, and I hit my head really hard and broke my leg. I was rushed to the hospital. The doctors treated me well, but I wouldn't wake up. I was in a coma for a year. A whole year! I stared at the doctor's face. Was he joking? It turned out he was not. The doctor explained, when someone falls into a coma, they become unconscious. Nothing could wake them up. They wake up when they're ready, and we only have to wait. My family came rushing in an hour later. Mom, Dad, and my twin sisters. They were excited to see me. Mom was crying and Dad was emotional for the first time in his life. Then, a nice-looking woman called Amelia came in. She said hi to everyone and kissed Mom. Then she kissed me on the cheek, and she gave me a 1-minute hug, then said, "Oh my God, I'm so happy you're back." I looked at her feeling confused. "Excuse me, do I know you?" They all started laughing, and then Mom said, "Oh, the doctors warned us there would be some memory loss because of the head injury." Then she looked at me like she was feeling sorry for me and said, "She's your fiancée. She's the one who saved your life. Don't feel bad, honey. You'll remember everything in time." But I responded, "No, she's not. I don't remember being engaged to anyone." But Mom said, "Look at your finger, sweetheart. The ring is there. Amelia has one too." I didn't know what to respond. My mom said it as if it was a fact. I looked at my hand and there it was. And then I looked at Amelia. She didn't say anything. She just smiled. The whole thing felt so strange. How could I remember everything about my life before the accident, but not Amelia? 3 days later, I was discharged from the hospital, and they took me straight to my parents' house. They put me in a wheelchair because it would take some time to train my legs to walk again. Everyone was happy to see me, and Mom prepared a nice dinner for us all. Amelia was used to being at my parents' house, joking with Dad, helping Mom, and talking to my sisters. She pushed the wheelchair, set the dinner table, and sat next to me. Every time I would ask for something at the table, she would put it beside me. And I didn't like it. My parents were updating me about things that happened when I was unconscious, when I screamed in panic. "Oh, what about Twix, my dog? Did anyone take care of her?" "Yeah, I did," Amelia said. "I brought her to my apartment after we were told that your coma might take a while." I looked at her feeling pissed. Am I the only one who finds her annoying? She seems to meddle in everything. Who is this woman? And why don't I feel anything towards her? I stayed at my parents' house because it was near the hospital, and I needed to attend my physiotherapy sessions. And of course, Amelia escorted me most of the time. I wanted to talk to her in private and get to know how we met, but there was never a good time for that. We were always surrounded by people. My family would not leave us alone, and my friends and coworkers visited me at the house to check up on me. But one night, I decided to call Tom, my best friend. He was in China for a business trip. I FaceTimed with my new phone because the old one got destroyed in the accident. I asked him about Amelia and if I mentioned her to him. And he said, "Yes, you said you were dating a lovely girl and you were excited to have her in your life. Congrats, buddy. I didn't know that you proposed already." I hung up the phone feeling more confused. It seemed that the universe was playing a sick joke on me where I was not able to remember my fiancée. Eventually, I had to give in. I started treating Amelia nicely and accepting the fact that I did propose to her. I'm gonna give her a chance. Maybe I'll fall in love with her. My family kinda likes her already, and they get along with her just fine. And so I did. I did my best to shush that awkward feeling about her and start focusing on her positive attributes. 2 months later, I was able to walk again. I went back to my apartment. Amelia helped me get some of the things back. It was exactly how I left it. And there was even a picture of me and Amelia on the shelf. I sat on the sofa and asked Amelia, "Honey, could you bring me a pillow from my bedroom?" And she said, "Sure." But then, instead of going to the bedroom, she went to the bathroom. I laughed and told her, "It seems you don't remember the way to the bedroom. It's on the left." She laughed awkwardly and said, "Yeah, I haven't been here in a while." Sure, if I was in a coma all this time, she definitely wouldn't have the time to spend it here, I thought. But what happened next made me question her again. Amelia was always busy. Every time I suggested we spend time together, she would give me an excuse for why she can't. She worked as a cafe manager, and she would always say she couldn't leave the cafe because there was too much work, and she can't leave it for the other workers, which seemed implausible, because I know she can control her own hours. Then, when my dad suggested going on a family trip to our beach house, she was the first to say yes. "I could make that work. I could hire an employee for when we are gone," she said. "Wait, what?" I looked at her and said, "I've been trying to go out on a dinner with you for 2 weeks now, and you said you couldn't because you were preoccupied with work. What happened now?" She blushed and said, "The worker that I count on the most got back from his trip 2 days ago, so I'm free now." I didn't say anything, and she went to the beach house. She was happy to be with the family. On the first day, I asked her to go on a long walk with me just before sunset. The view was magical, and I thought that was the perfect time to kiss her, because I haven't tried that since I woke up from my coma. She only kissed me on the cheek and forehead, but I thought she was ready to do that. I leaned over to kiss her, and the kiss was good. It was not great or mesmerizing, just good. A bit disappointing, actually, and so I decided to break up with her. That's it, I couldn't do it anymore. As soon as we got back to the city, I was going to break up with her. But then 2 days after I got to my apartment, my friends and coworkers arranged a party for me. They wanted to celebrate my engagement and welcome my coming back to work at the same time. It seemed inappropriate to announce my breakup at that time. So at the night of the party, I went to pick Amelia up, and wow! She looked amazing in her black dress. I felt that I was falling for her and that I really liked her. When I got there, I started introducing her to my friends. She didn't seem to know anyone there. And then while I was talking to my boss, a very beautiful lady came next to me and said, "I thought you disappeared." I looked at her and said, "I'm sorry, but how do I know you?" She smiled and said, "Yeah, I'm Kristen. We were supposed to go on our first date right before you had the accident. I waited, but you never called, so I assumed you were not interested." I stared at her for a few moments, and my brain was going in circles. Kristen, Amelia, the accident, the engagement. There's a link between them all, but I can't get my hands on it. I apologized to Kristen, and I went straight to ask Amelia about how exactly we met. Something was not right. She was standing on the balcony outside, but when I came close, I heard her saying, "I can't do this anymore. I thought it would be easy, but it wasn't. I think I'm going to tell him tonight." Wait, who was she talking to? I took 3 steps back and then stood next to the door, and then I heard her speak one more time. "Simon, this is getting out of hand. He's not buying it. He's noticing all the wrong things I'm doing. Maybe I'm not a good actor." Simon? Was she talking to my dad? Something was messed up indeed, but I didn't expect that my dad had something to do with it. Then she said, "I'll talk to you later, when we get back home." She hung up and stood there for a minute to calm down. My initial thought was to yell at her and make her explain everything to me. But after a second thought, I decided not to. If there was something going on, I needed to know it all by myself, because she would most likely lie to my face and twist the truth. So I took a deep breath and went out there, saying, "Oh honey, I missed you. What are you doing here?" Amelia just smiled awkwardly and came in with me. I introduced her to more friends as if nothing happened. That night, Amelia spent the night at my house. While she was sleeping, I took her phone and opened it by pressing one of her fingers on the lock screen. I knew she couldn't wake up because she drank too much that night. She was nervous, and I kept giving her drinks. And when I opened her phone, I read something that shocked the hell out of me. Dad was having an affair with Amelia. They had tons of pictures together sleeping in different hotel rooms and even in our beach house. What the hell? But in a strange way, it all clicked. When I had the accident, Dad saw Amelia. He liked her and started seeing her. Then they faked the whole engagement thing so Dad could cheat on Mom whenever he wanted to. I mean, she would be my wife, so no one would suspect anything if they saw them together. And when I asked Tom about her, he confirmed it to me because he thought I was talking about Kristen, not Amelia. Oh, how sneaky of them. I thought I was going crazy for not remembering her. It turns out I was only a fool. I then scrolled down the messages between her and my dad, and there, I found the answer. Dad had promised her $2 million if she marries me and stays with him. He told her that she was the love of his life. Ugh! I was furious to think my dad would manipulate me and use me as a puppet to satisfy his own pleasure. I felt like a complete idiot. And $2 million? I didn't know my dad had that much money. Where was he hiding all of this? I sat there speechless, trying to soak it all in, but I couldn't sit still. Mom doesn't deserve this, and Amelia cannot take Dad's money if he had any. It should be ours, his children. So I made a copy of the messages and sent them to my mom. She needs to know the truth. In the morning when Amelia woke up, I told her that everything was over between us. She looked confused and even said, "We just celebrated our engagement." She totally believed her lie, as if we were a normal couple who loved each other, but I just refused to listen and kicked her out of the house. Then, an hour later, I got a call from Mom. I went to our house. She and Dad were fighting. "I want a divorce now," she screamed. And Dad looked at me. He knew I was the one to do this. He yelled at me saying, "If only you could keep your mouth shut." I yelled back, "Are you screaming at me? You should keep your zipper shut." Dad was furious, but he said nothing and left the room. My parents got divorced 2 months later. But the surprise was that the money my dad wanted to give Amelia was Mom's in the first place. Mom came from a rich family that I knew nothing about. She wrote everything in my name in a will so no one can ever get it but me. And now I'm dating Kristen.
Crazy story time about how my husband tried to unalive me and my lover when he caught us cheating. By the way, I'm at the airport again. I don't know how I always end up at the airport trying to do voiceovers, so sorry if it sounds weird. My husband and I have been together for 10 years, but we were best friends before we ever decided to get into a relationship. One thing about me is that I've never been able to stay loyal in a relationship. And because my husband was my friend before, he knew that. It was a running joke in our friend group that I was never going to be able to stay loyal to one man. Eventually, when my husband and I got married, he totally never thought that I would be able to do that to him. I mean, I never thought I was going to be able to cheat on him, but there I go. Fast forward to 4 months ago. I work in the fashion industry and I'm constantly in contact with lots of models and good-looking people. So this cute guy comes into my office and he's a model, and he started flirting with me right away. I mean, he was actually pretty much flirting with every woman in the office, but I was like, oh my god, he's so cute. I had 3 options. I could ignore the flirting, or I could flirt back, or I could flirt back and give him my number. I went with option C. I gave him my number and he texted me later that day asking if I wanted to go to dinner. I said yes. So I told my husband that I was going to be staying at the office late, which I did all the time anyway, and he trusted me. After that dinner, this guy and I were totally inseparable. We would meet up for lunch every single day and hang out for a few hours after I finished work, or sometimes I would get off work early to go hang out with him. I told this guy I was going through a separation and that's why I couldn't stay over at his place. And he believed me. By the way, I'm using the shade Verano for my Tanya collection with Aunat. If you guys want to shop it, it's the link in my bio. My husband travels for work a lot, and this was my saving grace. Whenever my husband would go out on trips, I'd invite my boyfriend to stay over at my house. While on one of those trips, my husband came home early and didn't bother to tell me. Apparently, he already had his suspicions and wanted to catch me in a lie. He catches me and my lover in the act. My husband went psycho, you guys. He grabbed his gun and held us at gunpoint for 4 hours. The entire time, he was trashing our bedroom. My boyfriend, aka the model I was cheating on him with, basically cried the entire time and didn't say a word. While me, on the other hand, was trying to explain to my husband that he knew that I was like this. Well, that just made him angrier. Eventually, I told him that I would give him a divorce if he wanted one. And that's when my husband told me that he was never going to divorce me and that I was going to stay loyal to him for the rest of my life. And I promised him that I would. Finally, after 4 hours, he made me promise never to see this guy again, which I agreed to. The guy told me that he would never want to see me again and that he didn't want any trouble. He also told my husband that he was a victim in this whole thing and that I lied to him about being in a relationship, which is kind of true. So then my husband got even angrier. My boyfriend ran out of the house and promised not to call the police. That's when my husband told me that he already knew about the relationship and that he had been spying on me with him this whole time. When I asked him how he'd been spying, he didn't want to tell me. This led me to believe that he probably has cameras around our house and that he probably put some spyware stuff in my phone so he knows exactly what I'm doing on it. Then he told me that from now on I was to never take the pill again and that he wanted me to get pregnant as soon as possible. My career is super important to me and he knows that I don't want to have kids just yet. But now he's basically forcing me into having children. Told him we should really consider getting a divorce or at least going to couples counseling, and he doesn't want to. I know I shouldn't have cheated on him, but at the same time, I'm being forced into staying in this relationship and I'm being forced into getting pregnant. He's even dropping me off at work and picking me up. I feel like he's always watching me and I don't know what to do. I also feel bad because I broke his heart and I know he's hurting, but he's totally going about this the wrong way. I know you guys are going to have some advice on what I should do, so please comment. My best friend thinks I should just go file for divorce during my lunch break, but I don't know. I feel like it's just going to make him kill me. What should I do?